Welcome back to the Social Landlord Podcast. Toilet breaks are done. Fayaaz is back in his chair. It's time to switch roles. Today's guest is Mr. Fayaaz.
I feel like I guess I'm a host, a bit of both. See how it goes.
So, you've heard enough about me, my boring life in call centres and sales and stuff like that. What was your first point of contact in property? And I know you probably had much more contact with it than me, with you being your uncle, but...
My is a bit... It came as a surprise. See, my dad's always been someone who looks into securing the future as much as possible. He's not an excessive spender. He wants to make sure all priorities are set before you go out and spend, just to make sure your foundations set. My dad's always said, rather be in a position where you don't owe anybody any money, but you're in a position to help others.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I was working in a bed factory. Not a bed factory, but we were one of the biggest component distributors in the UK. So all these beds and furniture that you see, even these fabrics, little table legs, little bolts, springs, fabrics, all these stuff, we were the biggest suppliers. So in a year, probably used to get around 450 containers coming from China, Turkey, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Japan, all over the world. And bear in mind, 365 days in a year, take away the weekends, take away the bank holidays, take away the festive periods.
And a couple of containers a day.
And the yard used to be hectic, and I mean hectic, because they had their own Arctic trucks that used to go up and down the country delivering to bed manufacturers. The same manufacturers are probably supplying Next and John Lewis. They had contracts. So the fabrics and the components that you see on these beds, chances are 70-80% of them were probably kept in our warehouse. So I used to work for them. And so they're good family friends. I actually was going through a bit of a difficult patch, and I needed a job because I tore my knee ligaments in football.
You'd have been a pro otherwise, would you?
Yeah, of course, the same story. I would have been pro otherwise. So I tore my knee ligaments and I was at home for about a year. I had a knee brace from ankle all the way going up to my thigh. I tore my ACL, ripped my cartilage, and I damaged my bone as well. So my whole left knee is like brand new. I've stopped playing football since. I just don't want to go through the same phase again. I had physiotherapy for a year, and then you sit at home, you start getting like depressed because you can't move. You're very, very restricted, very mobile. So I needed a job like straight away, and I was 23, and I didn't want to go into education again because I've just had enough of education. So get out there, make some money, see how far it takes me. I was always business driven. And I saw this opportunity come up. Then I rang one of the directors because it's a good friend of ours. I rang him and he said, look, it's apprenticeship. I don't care if it's an apprenticeship. I just need a job to get me out of my house because I need something to do because otherwise I'm just getting insane. Started the job. Everything went fine. I was enjoying what I do. Like I say, so when you have a good environment to work in, it helps because you've got good people around you. The morale's good. Got good directors that understand you. They're always there if you need help. So there's a lot of flexibility as well. If I needed to go to appointments, if I needed to go somewhere, just go. It's fine. Just come back. Just don't take the mick. We're totally happy with as long as you get your work done. Not a problem. You go in 9 o'clock, clock out 5 o'clock. There's no headache after I'm out. Nobody's calling you. Nobody's doing nothing. Weekends, nobody's pestering you either. And most people will know I'm a big Liverpool fan. So when I go to watch games in the evenings, you need to set off at 3 o'clock. We over here is like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just, you get paid till 5 o'clock. It's fine. Go to the games. I was very, very well looked after in that job. I was there for a good 4 years or something. But whilst I was there, one of my dad's brothers, he works in one of the estate agencies close to our home. And he just rang my dad out of the blue. And he goes, oh, are you looking for a house? And this was going back about 5 years now. And my dad's like, oh, it just depends. We've got some cash, but it depends. And he goes, oh, there's a house in not far from where your house is at the moment. It's a 2-bed. And they want 65,000 for it. And my dad's like, I'll speak to my kids and we'll see what we can do. So went to have a look at it. I still remember this was on a Friday evening. Went to have a look at it after work. And next morning, my dad's like, yeah, we're just going to buy it. He didn't even have a full pond over. He goes, yeah, we're just going to buy it. It's fine. So we bought it. didn't even need to do much works to it. Maybe a few cleanups here and there. Clean the carpets. We decorated it slightly. Within a week, through Silks, marketed it, had a tenant in there paying £450 a month for a 2-bed, which is fairly low. But my dad just said, look, I just want a tenant that's going long term, so I'm happy to sacrifice £50, £100 here and there. It's not a problem. So we bought it for 65 grand, £65,000 at that time, 5 years ago. We spent probably about 3-4 grand on the property when we bought it. That's it. The tenant was paying rent every month without fail, no problems. I got it revalued about 4 or 5 months ago just because I'm starting to like diverse our portfolio a bit. So I want to know what the value is. That property today is valued at 115,000, and that's from a RICS valuation, not just from a desktop valuation. So now it's like me and my dad were in two minds. Do we? Because there's nothing left on the property now.
Sell it or refinance it.
Refinance it or sell it. I probably won't go through the refinancing, but even if you sell it, it's still nearly doubled. So, but then again, the question is
capital gains because you've not lived in it and things like that, though.
Exactly.
As well.
But the other thing is, I said to my dad, if you do sell it, there's nothing you can buy with that same money.
No.
Locally. And we bought this in the hope that eventually it's a backup house. We never bought it as an investment. If ever anything happens, we've got a house to live in that's mortgage free. Something where we don't owe any money to anybody. It's our own house. So that's when we bought this, I was like, everyone's telling me, oh, you're in a property lad. And to me, I had no real proper interest in the property. Just like, yeah, my dad said we're going to buy it, and we bought it. That's all I know, and that's all I did know at that time. I didn't know nothing else. And then it was only until 2 years ago, Ayub said to me, oh, why do you come work with us? We've got a lot of things happening in...
2 years?
2 years ago, yeah.
I've been with Citywide for 3, so
Sorry,
you've been there longer than that.
3 years, same time as you.
You were there around the same time as me.
June 21.
Right, yeah.
June
I think
21,
I was April.
Exactly. Then I remember that, because that's when I sent my first invoice. I remember that as well. It's June 21, exactly 3 years ago. Next week.
I think I must have just passed it then. I think I've got April in my head for some reason.
So we started similar at the same time, didn't we? So
before.
Yeah, and then Ayub goes, why do you join me? I go, look, I don't know anything about property. People think I know a lot just because I got a property, but I don't know nothing. He goes, I'll teach you, don't worry. So then 1 month before I started in the property industry, it was Ramzan, when we used to fast long days, and we used to go for evening prayers in the evening. So you're not free till around 11, half 12 at night. And you sort of wake up again mid-morning to have, like you say, breakfast. So, but that time it was that we used to stop eating at...
Like I say breakfast, you don't call it breakfast?
No, we don't call it breakfast, man. It's called suhoor.
Oh.
So, yeah, you're learning with us, don't worry. We're still going to get you fast, though. You past 3 years.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
So we were there, and it's like, I used to go after evening prayers, about 11:30, because we used to stay awake till when we used to eat. So I used to go every 2-3 days to go to his house, and he used to teach me. I'm like, this is all gibberish to me. I can't do this. Because he's telling me where there's different types of strategies where to earn money from property, and he's telling me you don't need money to make money from property. I'm like, bro, honestly, if I didn't know better, I'd say you're wasting my time.
Well, until very recently, and discovering purchase lease options and things like that,
Yeah.
I didn't think that you could...
Any money from property?
No, I didn't think it was possible. Didn't think it was even possible to raise the finance to purchase it in the first place, you know, without going through your traditional lending.
Yes.
Until starting here. And obviously I think that's a lot to do with you guys and not doing interest.
Yeah.
So it has opened my eyes to a lot of different...
What it is with interest is what a religion says no anyway. But take religion out of aspect. People talk about leveraging money. You can leverage money, but the harsh reality is you're never in control. You're never in control. If you have a tenant paying you £500 rent a month, if the interest rates in 5 years' time, you have no issues for 5 years, because, or if you pay interest only, for example, you got no problems because you're in the green a lot. But you can only increase your tenant's rent for about 10% to be realistic, but the bank can increase your mortgage rates as of what they feel. They give you 3-4 options. So you, from going to make £200 a month, you might just be making £100 a month rent. profits after your rent. So Islamically, it's forbidden for us because you're paying interest on something which is not really benefiting you, or something where it's got no source of security. Whereas, but take religion out of aspect, you're not in control, which is another reason why people don't like taking mortgages, because first, I'd rather buy something. I don't owe anybody any money. I'm in total control. I'm not worried about the banks increasing the rents interest rate after 5 years, because what if my tenant can't match the new rates? Then I'm screwed. So for that reason, we have to look at other alternatives where we can help people make money out of property without actually having mortgage or interest. Because even taking a mortgage, 25 grand down payment for, it's a lot of money.
25 grand?
It's a lot of money these days. I was having a discussion with a few of my friends, and I said, how many of us have got houses today in our 20s? We're very fortunate. Whoever hasn't got a house, realistically, I don't see them owning their own house. And what I mean by owning is no mortgage.
Yeah, if you haven't got one by now,
you're not going to get one.
Yeah.
You're not going to. Because a 2-bed, 3-bedroom property, it is probably going to cost you around about 150, 160.
Well, we'll rewind there. It's not going to happen unless something miraculous happens and minimum wage doubles and something like that. But
even if you're on good pay, what's guaranteed? Let's say you do get a house, your dream house, for under £200,000. What's your mortgage payments realistically? Because you only pay 25%, about £1,000, £1,200, £1,200 a month. Then you got a 4-bedroom house, gas, electric, council tax.
About 600-700 quid.
About £2,000 direct debit each month.
Yeah.
Then you've got
that's you haven't even paid for any food.
Shopping, food on the table.
24 grand a year
no
to your
fuel
house.
in your car.
Yeah.
No fuel in your car. So just balance it out here. You're buying a property at the age of 30 for £200,000. In Yorkshire, you can buy a nice 3-4 bed for £200,000, right?
Yeah.
25% deposit. So 50 grand down payment.
So if you suddenly find a bag of cash with 50 grand in it.
Yep. Then stamp duty if it's not your first. Chances are, let's say it's your first. You got legals to pay.
Well, if you're putting a 25% down, it's a buy to let, so it wouldn't be your first, would it? So there'll be stamp duty on there, which is 3%.
3%, yeah.
So another 6 grand.
Yeah.
That has to be paid up front, so that's 56
what most
grand.
people will do is they'll buy it, put it in rent for a few years, take some equity, and then eventually move in themselves. Let's say you pay 10% to move in straight away yourself. You're still paying your 10%, you're paying your legal fees, you're paying your solicitor fees. You
about
still
27 grand.
27. That's without doing any works of property. Even if you're not going to buy a property and just move half and half because it's your own property, so you want it to be done to a certain standard. Let's say you do spend works, you spend about 35 grand, 40 grand. So you need to find 40 grand
on top of the 27.
Apart from what money you already need to live on yourself. If you got 50 grand in the bank account, you can't spend 40 grand, live on 10 grand. If your living expenses don't add up, then you got a car, you might have a car on lease. Most people do these days, or car on finance. You got furniture to pay for when you move into the house, you're going to sit on the floor. White goods to pay for, you got food to pay for. You might have a little one, you might have kids or whatever. So your monthly expenditure of each house to live comfortably might be between 3.5 to 4 grand just on the basics. Even you could be a doctor earning 60, 70 grand a year. But that's 60, 70
to live on your own, 60, 70 grand a year to live in a nice house. I don't dispute you can go live on Dirkhill Road in Bradford.
Yeah.
But it's not really where you want to go live, is it?
Exactly.
But you want to go live somewhere nice. If you live working on your own, you need 60, 70 grand to live comfortably.
Half of that, it's going towards your living expenses anyway. 4 grand a month.
That's pre-tax. So you're paying taxes as well on that.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's I keep saying to my friends, like, whoever hasn't got a property today, they're gonna struggle big time. And another thing most people need is residual income, just in case. Like, if you're going back to this, if somebody's a doctor earning 60, 70 grand a day, whatever they earn, what's the guarantee of their job security?
Oh, I don't doubt there's always going to be someone that wants a pack of antibiotics, but I get.
You might not be a doctor. You might have your own business earning good money. But what if your business goes kaput? Then you've got a mortgage to pay, £1,000 each month. Or what if, God forbid, but what if you die? and the property's on your name, your family, or your wife, that does never work, because in Asian families, once they get to a certain age, the females don't really work. They just look after the kids, and the man does the breadwinner. So about 4 or 5 years after marriage, if something happens to you, your wife's going to be left with so much debt on the property. This is one of the reasons why we don't entertain mortgages. Job security, family security, home security, so you don't owe anybody any sort of money. It's, if you do have a mortgage, most people try and pay it off as fast as possible. It's a massive burden on people's shoulders. It's something where we've been educated from young. Just interest is a no.
You see how bizarre this is. You've been educated for cash purchases, no interest, owning what you own.
Yeah.
Do you know what the advice from my grandparents was? Bear in mind, my granddad was an accountant
Leverage
for
your
British
money.
Gas for 60 years, you
Yeah.
know, and they earn a lot of money. They're very well off, good pension, lovely house, nice area. So what they did work for them. Her advice was mortgage yourself up to your absolute eyeballs, and more than you can afford, because in 10 years' time the house will be worth more. That was her only logic. Then just keep trading up.
It's right what they say, but where we come from is, what if you don't see 10 years?
Well, yeah, I'm not quite as cynical as that one. I'm hoping I've got another 10 years in me yet. But
You have to think of the worst case, especially if you've got a family. And then the house will get repossessed anyway. Yeah, but it's easier option. You don't necessarily have to have. It's like Ayub keeps saying, you don't need money to make money from property. Because I've now in a position where I've realized you actually don't. You actually don't need money to make property.
Well, this is what I was saying until recently. Until the potential purchase that I've got on the table came about, I didn't think it would at all be possible. I know I've been discussing it for the past 3 years, we'll just raise the finance here, and then Mo and Ahmed disappear and the finance has been raised, we've bought the building, and I'm like, right, okay. Then they've refurbed it, they've sold it on, and they've made X amount of money, and I'm like, but where did the money come from? So now we've got a potential property. It's a block of 4 flats. I've been offered a purchase lease option at £115,000. £10,000 up front, which is deductible from the full balance.
Yep.
And the interest-only mortgage, and all the landlord wants is £600 per month, and you've got 7 years to purchase it. So I've now had that property approved with a social housing provider on a 5-year lease, and it'll net £1,940.
Wow. So
it would gross £1,940 to us.
Yep.
And then, less the £600 to the landlord. So there's about £1,350 profit every month. But obviously, I need to find the 10k down. Then we're viewing it, and obviously we're not going to purchase it if they need an extensive amount of work.
Yep.
So let's just call it worst case 10k down up front, and then 10k to refurbish the 4 flats, to then put it on a lease, be paid off in 24 months. And then, you've got 3 years of £1,350 a month. That's the aim of the game. Or that's the aim of what we're planning on. We may get there later on in the week and they'll be absolutely knackered and we're not wanting to touch them.
Do you feel there's more security without these mortgage? You are tied up to limited properties, because I understand where most people come in is where they'll buy property in cash, refurbish it, maybe add a bit of value, refinance it, so they've taken so much of their money out, then use that same money on another development. But it's like you're always balancing, aren't you?
Yeah. It'd be nice if it wasn't mortgaged, but again, I haven't got £115,000, so that would be a hard one to do. Yeah, it would be nice if it wasn't mortgaged, but that's not always the case, is it?
It is smart. It is smart. People do these mortgage and refinance. It is if you know what you're doing, it is very, very, very beneficial. It's very good. I'm not going to dispute that, but for me, it's just more for a religious perspective where it's not going to work for me. But I have some of my landlords do it. One of them actually did it on a few years back. We bought a house in Leeds. You had a basement downstairs and you had 4 floors upstairs. It's a 5-bedroom house. Bought it for 140 with a basement downstairs. What we then did was we furbished a basement downstairs. We converted each floor into its own flat with planning and building regs, all to the T how it's meant to be. Had separate meters on all 4 flats, including the basement. Before they were on 1 meter for the whole flat and then sub-meter downstairs. All of them have their own new individual flats. Gas meters, there's no gas meters, sorry, just electric meters now. We then called after about 2 years or 2 years later. Initially, the rental income was about £1,200. So that time it was £800 for a 4-bedroom and £500 for the basement flat. Now, after we did the works, we charged £500 per flat, so £2,000 a month. So the rent's gone up, nearly doubled. I think it was at 2,300 to be precise, 525 or something, whatever the rent was. We called back the valuation, and the mortgage broker said, we need to refinance. What do you value the property at? So we bought it at 140, total investment about 175, 180.
About 80 a flat.
No, they revalued it to 8,300. He's taken all his money out. His mortgage payments are not that high. He's well in the green. And he's already told me, I want to use the same strategy, let's do something else again.
I've got a few of my investors are interest-only investors. You know, they purchase something cash,
Yeah.
get it handed over on a lease, refinance it and put it on an interest-only mortgage. So, generally, yeah, they've got a little bit of money left in there. But when his mortgage, for the 2 properties that I'm thinking of in particular, you know, he bought 2 one-bed houses in Grimsby. We're netting him £800 a month each. So he's making £1,600. Those 2 houses cost him about £65,000. He had very minimal works to be done. I think we arranged our contractor, John, as good as that went.
Yes.
I think that was about 1,800 quid between the 2 houses. So all in, his cost was about 70 grand. Refinanced it, put it on an interest-only mortgage. From what I know, I think his repayments between both of them is about £285 a month.
Wow.
And he's making £1,600 a month net after.
If you do it properly, it's amazing. But
he's a mortgage advisor, mine, so he knows exactly what he's doing. But yeah, there's so many different ways if you're open to mortgages or if you're not, and stuff like that.
I think it all goes back to having the correct people around you, and not just taking an Instagram or TikTok guru to tell you what you need to do. Because these people come fresh out of university. Property isn't something where you can study. It's more to do with what you experience as you go. You can only be taught so much, but once you start feeding your way through it, once you start getting advice from the right people, because each property has its own real creative values.
Yeah. We had another one, same investor as Crossroads, the one we were talking about earlier. The block of flats that we found in Immingham.
Yep.
So that was 3 flats. Again, John did the works on them ones. I think there was about £8,000 between the 3 flats. We've since had 2 new boilers in mind, so that kills the profit a little bit. But 3 flats, all on separate meters, all on separate council tax, and 1 converted house. They net him £750 a month
Per flat.
per flat. And we purchased that for, I think it was about 130. So what's he getting there? 22.5.
Yep.
Net on 130 grand, maybe 140 after his works.
It's not bad then, is it?
Yeah, and
good returns.
If he was cash, and I don't imagine he's refinanced. He doesn't do. He's not one for.
Like us, this cash only asset.
Yeah.
Just rely on. So when we sell deals, most of our deals are sent on about 20% below market value. So you've got some equity left and achieving 9% upwards or 8%. So high yielding and some equity there.
I think if you find the right deal anyway, it doesn't need a refinance at the end of it.
No. There's no value.
It's always nice to pull some money back out of it if you are able to, or if you're wanting to, and if that's your strategy. But I think that's just an additional step.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you can raise the funding elsewhere,
why not?
Stop paying the banks.
Exactly.
I think that's all we've got time for.
There is, yeah.
Wherever you're watching your podcasts, please like, follow, subscribe, whatever your button says. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.